What up? What up? It is Alex, the Fantasy Football Hustler, back at you. This is the wide receiver start and sit video. I'm going to mix in the quarterbacks as well. We're breaking down every single game and every relevant player. Use the timestamps below if you got a specific matchup that you want to get to. When you see the numbers popping up here in the different stats, just remember green means good, red means not so good. Very simple. Let's get into the first matchup. We got a barn burner of a Thursday night football game upon us here between the Browns and the Steelers. Steelers 3.5-point favorite, 36.5 over under. It's the worst on the week, so I would not expect much out of this game at all from our fantasy players. Tillman, Judy, Elijah Moore going up against the Steelers, giving up the 8th least points to wide receivers, and the EPA is 6. When the EPA is lower than the season number, 8 is not good. It means they've been shutting it down over the last few weeks. So if I can, I'm leaning on just sitting everybody here. It's just not a good matchup. Tillman probably the worst out of all of them. I would assume that Joey Porter Jr. is going to be covering him for a good portion of the game. And when that happens, it's not going to be good at all. This also depends on how desperate you are as well, because Jameis Winston, even though it's a bad matchup, he's going to chuck that ball. He's going to do it, but we got to play the numbers here. So unless you are desperate, I'm not starting any of these guys. The order that I'd rank them in would be Judy, Tillman, and then Elijah Moore. So I like Judy even more than Tillman this week, and it's because I think Joey Porter Jr. is going to be covering Tillman more than anybody else in this game. On the flip side of things, it's the exact opposite. Cleveland 24th against the wide receiver and 30th in EPA. That means they've been giving up extreme booty over the last couple weeks. I'm going to start George Pickens. Kind of just nervous about starting anybody else, and I'm not going to do it. Maybe Calvin Austin, but that's only if you're very desperate, and a big no for Mike Williams from me. And then for the quarterbacks, Pittsburgh, number 1 EPA against quarterbacks. I really don't want to start Winston. Cleveland's the exact opposite. They're 30th. I will start Russell Wilson in a super flex. In a single QB, I'm probably not doing it even with the great matchup, but it all depends on your options. 6 teams on bye. But that over-under of 36.5, we should expect a very low scoring game and not a lot of points being scored. Now on to the early Sunday games. You'll notice a trend of the ugly games and ugly matchups in the early Sunday games, starting off with Texans taking on the Titans. Texans are an 8.5-point favorite. 41.5. Yuck. Probably going to hit the under. Tennessee has been very good in defending the wide receivers. That being said, still got to start Nico. A couple different plays go his way and big touchdown being called back. Things like that hadn't happened, we'd be more confident about him this week. It's just a really tough matchup, but I'm still going to start him. Leaning on the side of sitting Tank Dell unless you're desperate for a flex. Flip side of things, Texans have been giving up a bunch of points to the wide receivers. It's not always who Stingley is covering, though, who is getting the points for the wide receivers. So I wouldn't expect Calvin Ridley to have like an insane game. Maybe they get smart and they just move him around. Either way, I'm leaning on not really starting Calvin Ridley. I am going to start Westbrook-Ekine, though. Double-digit points in 3 out of the last 4 games. And the emphasis is always on Calvin Ridley. That's why he ends up being wide open in the end zone. And then for the quarterbacks, Titans are a good matchup versus the quarterbacks. So I'm going to start CJ. And Texans are a bad matchup against the quarterbacks, especially since week 7. So I'm going to sit Levi's. Now to another ugly matchup between the Bears and the Vikings. Vikings 3.5-point favorite. 39.5 over under. Yuck. I would expect a whole lot of nothing to happen in this game. Vikings are 30th in points given up to receivers. That being said, with this over under, I probably still don't want to start DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, or Adunze. Like, it's been so fluky with them that all of them right now just seem like dart throw flexes. Will I start DJ Moore, and do I think we should start him with 6 teams on bye? Yes. Keenan Allen, dart throw flex. Rome Odunze, dart throw flex. Probably got to start all of them this week, depending on how bad your options are, but I really don't want to. Flip side for the Vikings going up against the Bears. Bears are giving up the least amount of points to wide receivers. I'm starting Justin Jefferson, but nobody else. And both teams have been very decent against defending the quarterbacks. So I really don't want to start Darnold or Caleb in this if I can avoid it. And get ready for this ultra competitive AFC East matchup between the Commandos and the Cowboys. Washington 10.5-point favorite in this game. 45 over under, finally a little bit higher than 40. The points given up to running backs and the EPA for both teams very, very similar here, just right smack dab in the middle of the road. I'm starting Terry McLaurin. Kind of a little too nervous to start anybody else because I really think the running backs are both going to get off on the ground like crazy, probably Zach Ertz too. And then for the Cowboys, we really don't even want to start CD, but we will. It is what it is. I don't really want to start anybody else over there. It's all bad. And then for the quarterbacks, Commandos, they're a bad matchup for the quarterback, so we're not starting Rush. Cowboys, they've been a good matchup for the quarterback, so we're starting Jaden Daniels. Pretty easy. We got another divisional matchup here between the Dolphins and the Patriots. Dolphins a 7-point favorite, 46 over under. Patriots 23rd and giving up points to the wide receivers. 20th EPA though, so they've been doing a little bit better over the last few weeks as opposed to the entire season. That being said, we're starting Tyreek, we're starting Waddle. I would be nervous about it because they are very good against defending the teams that they know in those wide receivers, but we're going to start them because we got 6 teams on bye. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Miami's been pretty great against defending the wide receivers. The only one that I'd start over here with any kind of confidence would be Pop Douglas. And on a confidence scale of 1 to 10, I would say the confidence is maybe at about a 2. Both teams have been giving up decent points to the quarterbacks over the last 5 weeks. So I'll say go ahead and start Drake May if you're really desperate because of bye weeks in a super flex. Single QB, probably don't got to start him. Same thing with Tua. Single QB, probably don't got to start him, but super flex, we're smashing them, and we like the matchup this week. We got another barn burner of a game here between the Panthers and the Chiefs. The Chiefs, a mere 11-point favorite in this game, 42.5 over under. Man, this game's going to be bad. Man, I hope it's the Chiefs who do a bunch of this scoring here. Chiefs are 11th in giving up points to the wide receivers, but they're 8th in EPA. So they've been doing a lot better as of recent. I don't want to start anybody for the Panthers over here. Don't want to start Leggett. If Thielen comes back, I don't want to start him. But if Thielen does come back, it makes it a little bit better for Leggett. Follow along throughout the week so you get all the updates. Carolina's 14th against the receiver and 15th in EPA. We're starting D-Hop. Kind of about it. It's ugly. Panthers have been a great matchup for the quarterback, so we're starting Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs have been a bad matchup for the quarterback. So we are not playing Bryce Young. All right. We got another barn burner of a game over here between the Giants and the Bucs. Bucs 5.5-point favorite, 41.5 over under. Ugly. Bucs are 27th in giving up points to the fantasy wide receivers, and we love it for Malik Neighbors. The only thing that sucks is you got Tommy Danny DeVito over there. I don't know what to do with Wan'Dale Robinson or Darius Slayton, but because it's a 41.5-point over-under, we just expect there's not a lot of scoring that's going to happen. And unless those guys get peppered with like crazy volume, probably not going to score a touchdown unless it's like a random fluky one. So Neighbors the only one we're starting over here. Flip side of things, Mike Evans is practicing as of Wednesday. Giants are 11th in giving up points to the wide receiver, 12th in EPA. So not that good of a matchup either way. But if Mike Evans plays, we're going to play him. Giants have been a really bad matchup for the quarterbacks. I'm only going to start Baker if I'm really desperate in single QB. Superflex, probably got to start him. And then the Bucs, they've been a great matchup for the quarterbacks. Over the last 5 weeks, Bucs are giving up like the most points to quarterbacks. But Tommy Danny DeVito, I don't know if I could play him, man. It's kind of just crap.
Whoa. You telling me I'm the crap?
Last game of the early slate of games. They are here to save us from all the bad early games that we got. It's the Colts taking on the Lions. Lions a 7.5-point favorite, 50.5 over under. It's tied for the highest on the week with Monday Night Football. So we should expect a lot of points to be flowing. Lions are 29th in giving up points to the wide receivers. So you love the matchup, but we hate the quarterback on the other side of things. I'm going to say start Pittman. I'm really nervous about starting anybody else over there. Anybody else like Downs would be like a dart throw flex. That's really all I would think of him as. And so if you're really desperate, throw him in there as a dart throw flex. Outside of that, it's Pittman or bust. And then for the Lions, Amon-Ra or bust. Let's go. Gonna go out there and smash the Colts. J-Mo, we're starting him as well. That's about it. For the quarterback matchups, Lions have been a horrible matchup, so I'm gonna lean on sitting Anthony Richardson. If you think he's gonna be able to get off on the ground, go for it. Lions have been tough against the groundwork. And then for the Colts, they've been a middle of the road matchup, not too bad, not too good, just like right around like number 16. So we're starting Jared Goff. He's been doing too good to sit. Sorry guys, had to step away, change my fit for the Sunday afternoon games. What do you guys think? New 420 Crew merch? Go grab one at 420crewmerch.com. Raiders taking on the Broncos. Broncos 5.5-point favorites. 41 is the over-under. We got another ugly game. This is the 5th game that we've talked about with that over-under in the red. So we got a lot of ugly games this week. Just remember that, guys. As you can see by the numbers, it's probably going to be an ugly game for the wide receivers. Denver's got Patrick Surtain over there. They're 4th in giving up points to the wide receivers for the entire season. But Patrick Surtain was out for a couple weeks. Now look at their EPA, 2nd. And the Raiders, because they give up so much booty on the ground to the running backs, they're 6th in giving up points to the wide receivers, and their EPA is 4. That being said, if you're very desperate, I'll start Jacoby Myers. That's the only one, but you got to be beyond desperate. Outside of that, I'm just going to sit him if I can. Sutton's been so good that I got to play him. I think that Denver's passing game outweighs their run game. So I'm going to say start Sutton, but that's really it over there. And then for the quarterbacks, Raiders, they're a great matchup for the quarterback. So I'm going to start Bo Nix. Broncos, they're a horrible matchup for quarterbacks. So I'm going to sit Gardner Minshew. Next game on the docket, we got Seahawks and the Cardinals. Seahawks are a 1-point favorite, straight up pick 'em. 47.5. Yes, higher scoring games are upon us, we hope. AZ, 17th in giving up points to the wide receivers, but look at the EPA, 13. That means they've been giving up less points than expected as of recent. That being said, in a matchup like this where I think that there's just going to be a lot of chucking the ball all over the place, I'm going to say start all 3 guys. Start DK, start JSN, start Lockett. Obviously, Lockett is the one that I'm starting with the least amount of confidence here, but I feel like DK and JSN, we got to start them. Can't sit them. Then on the flip side, Seattle 21st in giving up points to the wide receiver. They've been doing better over the last couple weeks as well. That being said, we're firing up Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's go. Then for the quarterbacks, Cardinals have been a tough matchup against the quarterbacks, especially as of recent. So I'm going to say sit Geno in a single QB. Superflex, you got to do what you got to do. And I'm starting Kyler. Let's go. Next game on the slate, Green Bay taking on San Fran in Green Bay. Green Bay is the 2.5-point favorite. Straight up pick them again. 47.5 over under. We hope there's a lot of points scored. Thing that sucks for this matchup, both teams really good at defending the wide receiver. Green Bay, feel like even in a somewhat bad matchup, it's hard to sit Reed and Dubs. Watson, I'm just going to say sit him. Reed and Dubs, they're like flexes to me this week. I know there's going to be a lot of points scored. Could be the running backs. It might get spread around. It could be Wicks for all we know. The one thing that we do know is that the San Francisco cornerbacks have been stepping it up. So I'm very nervous about starting the wide receivers on the Packers side of things in this matchup. And that's how I will classify Dubs and Reed as just like flex guys to me this week that I really don't want to start, but out of desperation, I will if I am screwed with bye weeks, screwed with injuries. They're fringe guys to me. That's about it. That's the best way that I could describe how I feel about them. Green Bay, 13th for the season against wide receivers, and their EPA is 10. Also, not a good matchup for Debo and Jennings. Will I play them? Yeah. If Kittle comes back, I'm leaning on not playing Jennings, though. And Debo, he's a flex guy to me right now in this matchup specifically. On the road, it's going to be cold. They're probably going to be leaning on the run like crazy because you can run on the Packers a lot easier than you can throw on them. So Debo, flex. Jennings, flex. If Kittle comes back, Jennings is a dart throw flex to me that I don't want to play. And then for the quarterbacks, single QB, I'm leaning on sitting both guys. Like this is one of the better over-unders of the week. The 47.5 is kind of why I will even lean on starting either one of the quarterbacks. I want to sit him if I can. Super flex, of course, you're going to start him. You probably have no choice, especially with the 6 teams on bye. But single QB, I would be very selective about starting these guys because the matchups are so bad against who they're facing. Yes, we have made it all the way to Sunday night. And we got the Rams taking on the Eagles. Eagles, a 3-point favorite. That's a pick 'em. 48.5 over under. We hope that it's a really high scoring game. I'm very nervous for the Rams wide receivers, though. Eagles for the season are 6th against wide receivers, and their EPA right now is 1st, meaning they're pretty much the worst matchup that you can have. That being said, still going to play Cup. He runs a lot out of the slot, so we just hope that Quinyon Mitchell doesn't really cover him. But whoever Quinyon Mitchell is covering at the time, he is going to be locking them down. So I'm still going to say start Cup and start Puka. But I'm very, very nervous about it as well. And if you have those guys in your lineup, I would take chances in other spots to make sure you give yourself the high upside throughout your lineup. The Rams have not been that good against defending the wide receivers. They're 22nd for the season, and their EPA right now is 26. So it's a smash matchup for AJ and Devonta Smith. You're playing both of them. We're not even thinking twice about it. Then for the quarterbacks, I don't want to start Stafford. The Eagles have been such a bad matchup for quarterbacks. So single QB, I don't want to start him. Super flex, got to do what we got to do. I will start Hurts on the other side of things, though. Yes, everybody's favorite time of the week, Monday Night Football. Woo, woo. And this week, we got a 50.5 over-under, tied for the highest on the week. Chargers, Ravens. Ravens are a -3. Straight up pick them in LA. Ravens giving up extreme booty to damn near every position right now, especially the wide receivers. 32nd in points to wide receivers, 32nd EPA. So we got to start Ladd. We got to start QJ. Palmer is one of those dart throw flexes that if you are super desperate, maybe you can get in there because of the matchup. And then on the Baltimore side of things, going up against the Chargers, who are 15th in giving up points to wide receivers and 22nd on the EPA, so giving up even more than normal as of late. I'm starting Flowers. I might start Bateman just because the Chargers are so good at defending the tight end and the running back. I feel like Bateman is just going to get work in this because of that reason. So I will start Bateman as like a dart throw flex guy like as well. And then for the quarterbacks, good matchups for both quarterbacks. So we're starting Lamar Jackson and we're starting Herbert. And we just hope that this game lives up to all the hype and that it hits that 50.5 over under very, very easily. Whew, we made it all the way to the end. Every game broken down, every fantasy relevant player talked about. Did the same thing for the running back. So check that out. Should be popping up here in a second. Go check out my waiver wire videos. If you play an IDP, check out that IDP waiver wire video. It is a big hitter this week. The defense and special team streamer is on the other waiver wire where it's got all the offense, but I mixed in the defense and the special team. So if you're looking for that, it's in that video. Go to 420crew.com. You can join for free or as a paid member. I recommend joining as a paid member. One of the reasons is you want to stay in the loop. My playoff redemption leagues, they are one of the hottest type of leagues that are going.
I spit hot fire.
And the only type of leagues that are actually going down in January. As soon as the season ends, we start drafting again for a 3-week tournament, and the top 3 out of the 12 in points bring home the bacon. That's 420crew.com. If you like the shirt, go check it out. 420crewmerch.com, and then go to fantasyfootballhustler.com so you can find me everywhere on social media. Go follow. Any other questions you have, leave them in as a comment. And then go check out the running back start and sit video. It's popping up right now, and the waiver wire videos that are popping up right now for week 12. We'll see you on the next live stream.